They go first. Each of you, I believe, was provided with an information packet regarding your case. If you do not have that, before we start actual hearings, please see the city regarding getting your packet. The city has the burden of proof. They will present their case. Then you will be given an opportunity to cross-examine them or any other witness. It is not your turn to present your case. It is just your turn to ask questions. Then I will give you time to present your case. You may show photographs, you can give me documents, you can call witnesses. And then the city will be given a chance to ask you questions, and then I'll render my decision. If at any time you do not understand what is going on and it is your case, please don't say I don't understand in somebody else's case. Just ask me, and I'll be happy to stop and explain what your options are. Okay? Because it's very important to me that everyone understand and is given a fair hearing. I will swear you in when it is your time to talk. Okay? The first thing we have to do is approve the minutes from the last meeting. And I realize that no one else was here besides the city staff, but does anybody have an objection to the minutes from the last meeting? Okay, seeing no objection, the minutes will be approved. I understand that the first scheduled hearing, B and Y Inc., nobody is here to represent them. Is that correct? No one? Okay, well, I'm going to skip over that one and handle it last, because I believe in taking the cases of the people that took the time to show up first. The next one is City of Daytona Beach Shores versus AD1 Daytona Hotels, LLC. Case number PCDEF 2020-80. Is there anybody here representing? Okay. And your name, please?
Becky Darnell.
Becky Darnell. All right. Were you given the packet by the city? Okay. Ms. Herstein?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. And we're here regarding several building permits that expired and 3 building permits that expired. Okay, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd first like to ask that each of the documents provided by the city and the Code Enforcement Special Magistrate's notebook for this case be accepted as evidence along with the slides in the PowerPoint.
Okay, Ms. Darnell, do you have a legal objection?
No.
Okay, then they'll be accepted into evidence.
Thank you, Your Honor. So this is a first compliance hearing. As you said, we're here for 3 violations involving 2 permits for which work was done, then the permits expired. I have a picture for you on slide 24.
Okay.
Basically, violation A, the Daytona Beach Shores building permit numbered 2018-1692 expired without an approved final inspection. This permit was obtained for a custom-built tiki bar. That was the job description. I did not take this upper right picture. We don't need it as evidence, and I'm not requiring that it be introduced as evidence. It's just a locator for everybody to have an understanding for what this tiki hut structure was. It's an aerial picture of the tiki hut.
Where'd you get the picture?
Property appraiser's website.
Where did you obtain the picture from?
From the property appraiser's website.
Okay, so it was taken with their drone or something like that?
Planes. They have planes that fly by. Generally, our pictures are taken in the beginning of every year, and so we have annual pictures.
Okay.
But in this case, it's just to give you an idea for where it is. Because I'm going to show you later in just a second a picture of where it isn't, so at least you have a idea of where it was. Violation B, Daytona Beach Shores building permit number 2019-0894 expired without an approved final inspection. This permit was obtained to repair concrete walkways, and that description is a little bit bland. Really, it's not just walkways like on the ground, but it's where I've highlighted in yellow. It's all of those walkways on the different floors, and it's the handrails associated with the walkways, and it's concrete restoration associated with with those walkways as well. So it's really I think it was about a $500,000 permit that work was begun on and then stopped in the middle, and then the permit has expired. So violation C is the work previously covered by Daytona Beach Shores building permits number 2018-1692 and 2019-0894 is currently unpermitted work.
And the work is ongoing?
No, Your Honor, it's not.
Okay.
So basically, we're here for the first compliance hearing. The initial hearing took place March 17th, 2021. And the respondent was given until June 15th, 2021, which was 90 days to become compliant, or fines of $200 per day were approved. There was an authorized representative, Jose Fernandez, present at that hearing. You can see the findings of fact for that on page 4B7.
Mm-hmm.
The written order, March 24th, the written order from that hearing was first class mailed to both addresses of record. In early May, I reached out to the general contractor of record not for either of these permits, but for the lobby and for the guest room, the whole guest room remodel project. He confirmed that he was still involved with the project. There hadn't been any work that was ongoing, so we wanted to find out if he was no longer associated with the job or if he was going to remain the contractor. He said that he was still involved in the project, and as those permits had not expired yet, it was still acceptable that he was responsible for the project. He told me that he would permit the tiki hut, that he would pull an after-the-fact permit for the tiki hut. He did submit an application a week later. It was incomplete and never finalized, so we haven't gotten resolution, had not gotten resolution at that time, based on that. The ordered compliance date for this issue, again, was 90 days after that initial hearing, was June 15. I prepared, after evaluating it, I prepared an affidavit of non-compliance, which you can see on page 4B-11. Good service was achieved to the registered agent by certified mail on June 28th of today's first compliance hearing. I did hear from owner's counsel on June 14th that the tiki hut would just be removed, rather than attempts to re-permit it and follow through with that they were just going to remove it, which is another way of satisfying the fact that it had no permits associated with it. We talked about whether or not it had any electric that had been added or any plumbing, because there would need to be permits to cap that off properly, but there had been nothing added other than just the hut itself. I suggested they call as soon as they were done removing it so that I could mark that as compliant if it was. I was called out to re-inspect for July 19th. I did re-inspect it. I have 2 more pictures, basically, and 3 informational slides about what transpired on the property.
Oh, it's gone.
And Tiki Hut. I'm sorry, Your Honor?
I said it's gone, right?
That was before it was placed.
Oh,
Then it was placed. And then the bottom right picture, basically the top picture is there to show you from where I was standing. To take this picture at the bottom, the X's match up, the 2 little purple X's at the bottom area of each picture. So that's where I was standing to show you that the tiki hut was removed, and therefore compliance on that violation was achieved on July 19th.
is this property actually in operation?
It is not.
Okay.
It is not. From what I've been told, they are attempting to get financing in place to resume the remodel activities and then get the property open. It was in the process of being rebranded, as I understand, and they need to secure additional financing before they can do anything else. And I've been told that the walkway permit is tied into that as well. They need the funds to finish paying for the walkway restoration. So these two circled areas, the purple and the red was showing you the tiki bar permit, which had expired, and the purple, and that was obtained back in April of 2019. The purple was obtained in June for 2019, and that was for the concrete restoration on the walkways. None of these other permits are addressing either of those items. The next slide is the more recent portion of permit activity for the property. The lavender at the bottom is showing you a one permit that was submitted prior to replace the original expired permit for the tiki hut. That was never obtained. It was ready to be issued, but they never came and got it and paid for it, so it was never issued. And then the third permit, or the second replacement permit that I just described to you that was never completed, was submitted to. Just showing you through these slides that there is no other permitting in place that has replaced the concrete restoration, or no other permit that was obtained to replace the tiki hut. But as of June 9th or July 19th, that doesn't matter because it has been removed satisfactorily. This is a slide just to indicate and put on the record certainly that the concrete restoration, the walkway permit, did begin and was underway. It's one of multiple engineering reports that we received from the engineer, basically giving an update as to what had been done and what he had inspected. So we're bringing this property before you for a first compliance hearing, requesting that you find the property remain in violation after your ordered compliance date of June 15th, 2021 with an order number 11. We also ask reimbursement of the administrative fees of $92.43, for which you can see an affidavit on page 4B19. And I would like to bring Steve Edmonds to the podium to briefly ask him a few questions.
Okay. I neglected to swear you. Would you both raise your right hand? Do you both solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do, and I swear that everything that I've said on the record at this hearing to this point has also been the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Thank you, Ms. Hursti. Morning, Steve. How are you?
Steve Edmonds, I'm the City Building Inspector, Plans Examiner. I've been here 17 years, and I was the inspector and plans examiner for this project, and when I forwarded it to Gwen for the expired permits.
Thank you. So your involvement with this property related to these two permits, can you briefly describe that?
They were for concrete restoration, was for the one for replacing balconies that were deteriorated and needed replacement. They started the project, they did most of the balconies, just never finalized it and closed it out. They did a couple more restorations to some spalls in some areas, but never finalized those or closed those. And the tiki hut was something that was permitted a couple of years ago, I guess, and they just never called for an inspection or finalized it, so we've never looked at it.
Thank you. Steve, are the documents which have been introduced to the record today true and accurate to any that you created?
Yes.
And do the events as they've been presented by the city represent a true and accurate account of your understanding of the facts of this case?
Yes, it did.
Is there anything you want to add or clarify that might assist the special magistrate with his determination today?
Not this time.
Okay, I have a couple questions. I want to make sure I understand this. They pulled the permit for the tiki hut. They built the tiki hut, but they never called for a final inspection.
Correct.
And then when it came time for them to actually have it inspected, they removed it rather than doing anything with it.
Yes.
Okay. And then the concrete, again, they pulled the permit, they started, they never finished the project, and they never asked for an inspection of what they did.
We have done some inspections. I mean, I've done periodic ones because usually that's a threshold engineer that we have verify that. I just usually look at the reports a lot of times, and then sometimes I'm on site and I look at some of the repairs they did. These were almost complete balcony replacements on the west side of the building. So I actually went through and did probably inspections behind the engineer just to verify everything was okay. And they replaced most of the balconies on the west side.
And did those pass?
Yes.
Okay. But they don't have the money to continue,
To continue
or for some
get a
reason they
final
didn't.
engineer's report and, seal them, things like that. They just weren't completed.
Okay. All right, thank you. I appreciate you answering my question. Ms. Darnell, do you have any questions for either of the city's representatives?
I do not.
Okay.
I do have authorization for Ms. Darnell from an officer of the company.
Okay. All right. And Ms. Darnell, is there anything you'd like to present or say?
No, I don't think. Do you want?
What is the future of this building?
If you don't mind taking the podium.
You want me
is
to
that
take
what
the
you're
podium?
doing?
If you wouldn't mind. And while I don't expect you're going to lie to me about this, would you mind raising your right hand and being sworn? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay. So what's the future of this?
It's what I believe, and again, I'm the GM. I'm representing the company. The permits is not my expertise, but I'm happy to give you whatever information I can. I just believe the beginning of the project was probably an underestimate of the scope of work, and also the budget. So we are in the process of getting additional funding. The lender has been at the property. I've had several engineers, appraisers. So it's going forward. And I still have my calls with Hilton, so we're in good standing with them for now. But yeah, the tiki bar, I never wanted that to be put in.
Okay, I was wondering why you removed it.
Well, it just, I don't know exactly. This is all, it's money owed to the contractors. And the tiki bar was put in at a bad time. I voiced that it was not the time to put it in. And I was unaware that there was still a open inspection. So
Okay.
for whatever reason, they just said, just take it down. So that was fine by me. So that's
Okay.
where we're at.
Do you intend to come into compliance at any time?
Of course. Of course. You mean on the concrete?
Right.
Yes. And the powers that be that are above me are very aware of this whole situation, and they are working on a solution. If we have to, obtain a different contractor to finish the work, whatever it takes. So right now, we're not there.
Yeah, because I'm keenly aware that my finding you an amount per day is not helping your project whatsoever, and I'd like to see this thing return to commerce as quickly as possible.
I'm sure everybody does. It's stressful.
Yes. All right. I appreciate your time. Thank you. Ms. Herstein, do you have amounts for me? I understand the city is seeking $92.43 for the administrative fee. And Ms. Darnell, can that be paid within 30 days?
The 92, yes.
$92.43?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We're asking at this time that you find the property, with the motion 11, that you find that the property did remain in violation beyond your order date, and that the $200 per day that you had specified in the original order be imposed as a lien, and that it continues to run until the property becomes fully compliant, at which time the second compliance hearing will be an opportunity to discuss the fact that the tiki hut was removed after June 15th, and, when the concrete gets going again. And
Okay.
it's completed.
All right. I'm going to order an order number 11, $200 per day until the property comes into compliance. When you come into compliance, that is the time to present mitigation. It's very strong mitigation that you solved half the problem. Granted, the easier part of the problem to solve, but I cannot help you until you finish.
I understand.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next case is City of Daytona Beach Shores versus Pappas Daughters LLC, case PCDEF 2020-94. Is there a representative for Pappas Daughters? Okay. And sir, your name?
My name is Patsy Ionico.
Okay. And sir, were you provided a packet by the city?
Yes.
Okay. Is this the pizza parlor?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, all right. Please
Shall I
proceed.
proceed? I would like to ask that each of the documents provided by the city and the code enforcement special magistrate's notebook for this case be accepted as evidence along with the slides which are about to be shown.
All right. Mr. Ienko, is that the way I pronounce it? Do you have any objection, a legal objection to the documents coming in
No.
as evidence? All right, then they'll be so received.
Thank you, Your Honor. So this is a first compliance hearing for violations involving work that had been started without permits. The initial hearing for this case took place on March 17th, 2021. The respondent was given until June 15th, 2021, again, which was 90 days to become compliant, or fines of $200 per day accrue. Mr. Pappas and Pat Iannico, the tenant, were present at that initial hearing. The signed written order was mailed to the respondent the week after the hearing. The ordered compliance date of June 15th came. Basically, first I would like to say that on June 7th, we did receive the first permit application to remedy the violations. It was a fire sprinkler application. So it was a part of the pieces that we needed to be able to then review and issue permits. So on the 15th, that was the date for full compliance. I did evaluate it and found, after June 15th, and found it was not compliant. But the day after the deadline, the following date, on June 16th, we did receive 4 more applications. So we did receive building, electric, plumbing, and then also a gas line that we needed. We still needed a few other items, including a mechanical permit for the hood system, before everything could be fully reviewed and then hopefully issued. I did prepare an affidavit of non-compliance after the compliance date, the ordered compliance date, and you can see that on 4C-11. Good service was achieved to Mr. Pappas by hand delivery for the notice of first compliance hearing today. He received those and the supporting documents. You can see that on beginning on page 4C-16, the affidavits of good service. At that time, Mr. Pappas also gave written authorization for his tenant, Mr. Iannico, to represent him today, as he was leaving the country until mid-August. I emailed the same hearing documents that I had given Mr. Pappas to Mr. Iannico. He'll tell me how to say it, because I think I'm probably saying it wrong. But to Pat the same day, and we discussed what we still needed for the permit application packet to be reviewed. Basically, Pat and I, over the next few weeks, or months really, Pat and I had 3 additional conversations. He's aware at this time that while his applications have all been submitted, the hood system application was submitted just at the time that the person who reviews for the fire side was leaving for a vacation, so he's aware that that's not going to get reviewed until
27th.
July 27th, correct. And preliminarily, he did ask, has Steve seen anything that he could tell me that I could be working on now? And Steve was kind enough to kind of look ahead and say that while it's not everything that I necessarily am going to need to tell you, I can tell you I've seen these things already that need to be taken care of, and I believe that Pat's definitely working on at least one of those. So basically, we're bringing the property before you again, today. We're bringing it today, requesting that you find that it, again, remained in violation with a motion or an order 11, that it remained in violation after your compliance date ordered of June 15th. We're also asking for reimbursement of the administrative fees in the amount of $78.63. $78.63. You can see an affidavit for that on page 4C-18. And sometimes you ask about why the fees are different. In this case, it was a hand delivery, so there was no certified mail cost.
Okay.
That's why it's a little bit lower. I would like to bring Steve Edmonds to the podium so that we can ask him a few questions and get that on the record, please.
Okay, before I do that, Mr. Iannico, do you have any questions for Ms. Herstein?
No.
Okay. Welcome back, Mr. Evans.
Thank you. Steve Edmonds, City of Daytona Beach Shores, Building Inspector, Plans Examiner.
Thank you, Steve. Would you briefly describe your involvement with this property as it relates to this case, please?
I issued a stop work order on this before this tenant came into this project. The original owner had started demoing it and taking stuff out of it and cutting water lines, things like that. So there was a stop work order that was issued. The new tenant started coming in, and I issued another stop work order because there was stuff coming in that wasn't being permitted. And they were really just trying to fix some of the stuff that the old tenant had done at the time is what it was. Currently, like I say, we do have permit applications in. I've had some comments that I've sent out to the owner, and they have been working on them.
Okay.
Are the documents, thank you, Steve, are the documents as they've been introduced to the record today true and accurate to any that you created?
Yes, they are.
Okay, and do the events as they've been presented by the city represent a true and accurate account of your understanding of the facts of the case?
Yes, they do.
And is there anything that you'd like to add that might assist the special magistrate in making his determination today about the motion number 11, which indicates that they were not compliant as of June 15th?
Not at this time, no.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions.
Go ahead.
Regarding this issue of a radius required for the restroom,
Right.
what does that mean?
That is the 5-foot turnaround radius for handicap accessibility.
Turn around,
They have to have a 5-foot radius in the bathroom.
oh, it has to be
For a
5 feet
wheelchair.
wide?
Yeah, it has to be a 5-foot radius.
Okay.
Circle, so that they can basically maneuver around in there without hitting walls, things like that.
Okay, and is their restroom lacking the 5-foot radius?
It is, and the problem with it is if it was original, it was grandfathered in. Unfortunately, they took down walls, drywall, and was redoing them. When you redo them, at that time, you're supposed to make them compliant.
Okay, and I understand they expressed a variance
Yeah, they
application
had
to
a
the
problem
state?
Because of, I think one of their drain lines or something was off like an inch. They were trying to ask me, not to ignore the code, and I could not. I'm not allowed to. And I said, that's not one that you want to try to do because we'll all end up being in a lawsuit with ADA.
Right, yeah, you don't want to play with the ADA.
Right.
And they said that they would try to obtain a variance from the state. Are you aware of any?
I explained to them that's a real hard process, and that's not something that the state would probably ever grant, from what I've seen. They will grant some stuff, but that's not usually one of them.
Okay,
So they were working on moving it, and so like I say, they have plans to move it. We're basically down to just a couple small things. One is just a hood system over the oven.
right. Now, the hood system, it said that they had applied for a light-duty hood with a light-duty oven. Is that
Correct.
possible with a pizza parlor? I mean,
I have not seen any light-duty ovens, but like I say, I'm not an oven manufacturer, so I don't know what considers it light-duty, what considers it heavy-duty, and like I explained to the owner, as long as he gets an oven that is labeled by the manufacturer as light-duty, then I can accept it.
okay, it seemed to me like, a home oven would be light-duty, and
Yes.
like heating up frozen pizzas,
Right.
Yeah.
A home oven would be probably considered light-duty or more residential use. Like I say, I don't know, he was looking at deck ovens,
Okay,
and from research that I've done on it, most of those do not meet it, but I not manufacture them, so I cannot guarantee or say.
I understand. I just hate to see them go down this path and find out they have the wrong thing.
Right. And that's why I told them, I said, I have two choices. It's either put in a type 1 hood, and they can put whatever oven they want underneath it, or put in a type 2 hood, and they would have to show me the proof that they have a light-duty oven.
Okay, I appreciate that. I asked that for the tenants' benefit more than mine, because
Right.
I understand it's not in front of us, but I'd hate to see them go the wrong way and then have to rip everything out.
Right.
Mr. Inoko, do you have any questions? Mr. Edmonds?
A couple of questions. I mean, far as what we did is.
No, I don't want to hear what you've done. I want to know if you have any questions for him.
Questions, yeah, mostly on the oven. Me and him were going.
Come on forward.
Steve, if you want to.
Okay, no, far as with the oven, in all my experience with the oven, okay? A Type 2 hood, we're going back and forth, we're trying to resolve this, okay?
Sure.
A Type 2 hood on a deck oven is efficient, okay?
Okay.
These are enclosed deck ovens, nothing could even get fire inside.
If you say so, it's your money, and I don't want to see you spend money, and then you come back here and I say you have to take it apart.
15,000, 20,000 for difference in a Type 1 hood to a Type 2 hood, which these ovens between South Daytona, Daytona Beach, not Daytona Beach, South Daytona, Daytona, Port Orange, it's the same thing. I checked. I went to go look at some ovens there. They got the same ovens I got, same type of hood. One's just got a pipe coming out, and Port Orange is tough. I had a pizzeria there for 10 years. And that's what we had, a hood system. just a type 2. Type 1 is for where we cook. I mean, there is, and I did call the manufacturer, I spoke to the engineers, they sent me paperwork on it, and it's up to really to the jurisdiction of where you put in a pizza oven. It's not required, it's required just stack going out. So I already have the oven, I already have the hood in there to be installed, but.
Okay, well,
What's that?
it's your money, and I asked that question for your benefit.
Yeah.
Because if you come back here and you say everybody else is doing it, it's the same as everybody else was going 85, why did I get ticketed for going 85,
I
okay?
understand. I know, I'm trying to be efficient in what I'm doing.
I want to see you get open.
Yeah, I mean, for me,
All right.
to spend another 15, 20 grand, it's
I know, that's money.
money,
Okay, do you have any questions for Mr. Edmonds,
I
though?
have all respect for him, because I know he's trying to help me too, not to do
Sure.
something wrong, so that I do. But I'm just, I've been doing a lot of research, and these ovens, called deck ovens, they're heavy duty, they look heavy duty because they're built, it's an oven, you're talking 500 degrees cooking for pizza.
And that's light duty.
Well, there's no specification being heavy, light, or medium. It's just a deck oven pizza. There's no classification to that pizza when the pizza maker, the oven makers make it. You got Baker's Pride, Blodgett. There is no saying this is heavy duty and one is a light duty. It's a deck oven pizza.
Okay.
It doesn't have a specific name to it saying it's a heavy, light.
Okay, I would look into what classifies something as light, medium, heavy, or extra heavy.
Yeah, I tried. They just, like you said, like you're gonna put a small little oven in there. That's all I'm gonna have to do.
Okay. Any questions for
I
Mr.
should
Edmonds?
say that light duty is considered for steam.
Right, like a dishwasher, right?
Yeah, like a dishwasher is what they usually classify them for. There's been a lot of commentaries that have been kind of put out on this lately. It's been more pushed by the fire departments than anything. But they say if it can create grease, smoke, or you're cooking meats, it's usually not considered light duty.
Well, this will only really be cooking pizza. Like you said, maybe your pepperoni. I'm gonna have 2 more ovens to cook the other food. I'm gonna have 2 ovens.
I understand that, like I say, but I'm just telling you that that's what is considered, and it is really that there's a lot more fire departments that are trying to get this thing because it was kind of a gray area originally, and they've pretty much come out now, a lot of the fire departments, and said that they are wanting these things underneath, because they've had so many problems with them, they're wanting them underneath the type 1 hood. So if the manufacturer cannot certify it, that it is light duty, it cannot go underneath that hood.
I would not purchase anything until that gentleman comes back on the 27th from vacation.
Because like I said, the fire department in in South Daytona, we have a pizzeria there. They just came a month ago and inspected. We just got the stack going out. And it's a deck oven pizza.
I understand, but you're in Daytona Beach Shores,
I understand that.
okay?
Like I say, I'm not trying to do something.
no. Please
I just wanna be, I'm
This
not
isn't
trying to
even
put an oven
before
in
me
the-
today. I'm just trying to help you out.
I don't want to burn the place down, say it was a grease or something.
Sure. All right, well, why don't we talk about what we're supposed to be talking about? Okay, the unpermitted drywall and the unpermitted plumbing.
Okay, that was more of a reason for mitigation, not to have caused more problems. Because the previous
Is it
guy,
finished yet?
what? No.
Okay. Last time you were here, you asked for 60 days,
You gave me more.
and I gave you more, and I'm not trying to punish you, but why the holdup?
I had to do the engineer had to, the architect had to do the plans 2 more times over. Steve, which he did need more information on it, which I think Dave did leave out. So I presented one, and then I had to get another one done, and that took a lot of time with him too.
Okay, all
So
right.
we did the plans 3 times.
I understand. Unfortunately, I have to find you at this time not in compliance. As I told the previous person, when you're in compliance, come back and we'll talk about what I can do for you. But at this time, it's black or white, and unfortunately, it's not finished. So I'm going to find you not in compliance, issue order 11. Is it $150 or $200?
It was set originally at
$200 a day until in compliance, with administrative fees of $78.63. And can you pay the administrative fees within 30 days?
Yeah. Now, what about the rest?
finish and we'll talk about it. Okay? $200 a day, a lot of money. I don't know how much a pizza sells for, but that's probably 15, 20 pizzas after costs.
Go ahead with it, you know? I would have to just scrap the project.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. But,
I don't want to, but, you know,
well,
I'll pay my fines
and talk to Mr. Pappas.
yeah,
I can't do anything about your lease or anything like that.
yeah.
All right?
That's fair.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day. Thank you, Mr. Evans. Did you get what I said? Okay, I want to make sure. It was kind of conversational, so. Okay, does the city want to finish compliance hearings? Or do you want me to take B and Y at the end because he was late?
That is entirely at your discretion, Your Honor.
Then, Mr. Merkel's been sitting here longer. I'm going to take him, and then we'll double back. All right. This is an initial hearing. City of Daytona Beach Shores versus Richard Merkel, PCDEF 2021-20. Mr. Merkel, did you receive the packet from the city? Okay. Ms. Herstein?
Thank you, Your Honor. I would like to ask that each of the documents provided by the city in the special magistrate's notebook be accepted as evidence along with the slides in the PowerPoint.
Okay. Mr. Merkel, do you have a legal objection to any of the documents you were provided?
No.
Okay, they shall be received into evidence.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an initial hearing. This began in October of last year when Steve issued a stop work order for the townhomes, and a copy of that stop work order can be seen on page 5A-5. The owner, Mr. Merkel, called the following week. They met at the townhome to review the permits which were needed. Unfortunately, with no applications submitted, the matter ended up in March, late March, being forwarded to the Code Enforcement Office because no applications had been submitted. Notice of violation was sent in early April. Good service was achieved eventually by posting in mid-May. The certified mail was not accepted, was held at the post office and then ultimately returned to us. So we did post the property, and you can see affidavits achieving good service, including pictures of the posting beginning on page 5A-8.
Did you post the property in 2 locations?
This property was posted only in one. Generally, properties are posted in 2 locations when they have double driveways, but in addition to posting the property in one location, a second location is statutorily required, and that is at City Hall.
Oh.
So for properties with 2 driveways or 2 reasonable entry points, we generally post it at each of those and also City Hall, so that would have 3 postings.
Because I noticed you have 2 different pictures of the property, and the orange posting is
Correct.
2 different places.
Nope, that is actually because both the notice of violation needed to be posted and then ultimately the notice of hearing. Based on the first piece of certified mail not being accepted, we went ahead and immediately posted the notice of hearing when we sent it by certified mail, so we were able to provide affidavits for the statement of violation, request for hearing, and notice of hearing as well. So those are 2 separate. I understand, I think now what you're saying. The first time it was posted by the mailbox on the property, which is right next to on one side of the driveway, and I think that was based on the van. There was a large van on the other side of the driveway, and you try not to walk across somebody's lawn in order to post, and you don't want to, so you put it in the place that is visible. The second time, I believe that the other side of the walkway, closer to the front door, was the optimal posting location. So that's why I think you're seeing 2 different locations. Same property within a driveway's length from each other, but...
Okay, and the little cutout picture, that would be the bulletin board at City Hall?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay, last night, try as I might, I could not blow it up big enough to figure out what it was, but that
I can do
explains.
that for you now if you...
I know what you're talking about
Okay,
now.
all right.
Okay, please proceed.
Absolutely. It's not the most compelling picture ever, but we do try to include a picture just showing that that's something that we had done because it's a requirement of the statute or of the
Okay.
Florida statutes. So, on June 21st, we did receive owner-builder signed permit applications. We received a building, an electrical, a plumbing, and mechanical permit applications. They were all owner-builder. Unfortunately, we need those applications instead to be signed by contractors because the townhome is joined with 5 other units in a row. He is an end unit, but it's joined with 5 others, directly adjoining one of those 5. And so they cannot use the Florida owner-builder disclosure statement in lieu of having contractors. This was communicated to Mr. Merkel on July 7th by phone. So there was a little time period that we were holding those, waiting for them to be completed, and then it was determined that they could not be completed in the way that they currently were.
Okay.
On July 7th, also, a statement of violation, request for hearing, and notice of hearing were sent. Good service was achieved by posting. The certified mail for that also did not go through, but we do have supporting affidavits meeting all the statutory requirements that you can see beginning on page 5A20.
Okay.
July 13th, Mr. Merkel called Steve, he had obtained the notice in his yard or had seen it, and asked Steve some questions about today's hearing. Steve suggested, they did discuss the hearing and generally what could take place, and Steve suggested to Mr. Merkel that he know how long he'd need to bring the property into compliance, including getting all the way to approved final inspections on the required permits. I do have 3 pictures to show from near the time of the stop work order. That was just a general overview. It also happened to be one of the pictures of posting of the property, so you'd know what we were discussing. The violations were A through C, no building permit obtained for replacement of the front entry door. B, no building permit obtained for drywall placement in various locations throughout the unit. And C, no electrical permit obtained for work in the electrical panel and inside the unit. This was a picture taken about a week after the stop work order of the open garage, showing a lot of the work materials and when Steve was there. And this is a picture of the front door that was replaced. This is a screenshot of permitting activity for this address in basically since late 2012, when this permit software program began. You can see that the 4 permit applications that are listed here are the only applications that have been submitted for this property, basically since late 2012, and those are all currently still incomplete.
Okay.
Okay. We are bringing the property before you today, requesting that the property be found in violation with an order number 7, and that it be given 90 days or until October 19th to achieve full compliance, including approved final inspection on all required permits, or fines of $250 per day would begin. Also, we request reimbursement of minimum administrative fees in the amount of $149.09. You can see an affidavit for that on page 5A24. And I would like to bring Steve to the podium for a few questions. Just as he's coming up, I would like to say that $250 a day may seem steep. The individual violations, one might add up to about, might suggest 150, another 150, another 50. And it totals to more than $250. The issue here being most important, or requiring the full fine amount of $250 per day to us, is that it does join directly abut another unit. So what Mr. Merkel does in his unit, including the electrical, et cetera, has the potential to very directly affect an immediate abutting neighbor.
Okay. Mr. Merkel, do you have any questions of Ms. Hursty?
No.
Okay. Mr. Edmonds?
Steve Edmonds, City of Daytona Beach Shores, Building Inspector, Plans Examiner, been here 17 years.
Thank you, Steve. Go ahead.
This project, when I was doing an inspection in the area, when I noticed the garage door open, drywall in the garage, and a lot of work going on, I noticed the electrical panel was open, exposed with some wires hanging out of it. So that's why I stopped to issue stop work as I walked up to the door to try to contact somebody. Noticed the brand new front door. So I ended up placing a stop work on it, and the owner had contacted me almost, I think, within a day or two, almost immediately, and contacted me and said he was going to be working on getting permits. I did meet with the owner one time to do a kind of a walkthrough of what he had so I could verify what permits he needed, what he needed to obtain and stuff for all the work that he had done and what type of work he was doing.
Okay.
Steve, do the documents that have been introduced to the record today represent a true and accurate account, or true and accurate to those that you created?
Yes, I do.
And do the events as they've been presented represent a true and accurate account of your understanding of the facts of this case?
Yes, I do.
Is there anything else you want to add?
Not this time.
Thank you.
Mr. Merkel, do you have any questions of Mr. Edmonds?
No.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Merkel, this is your chance to say whatever you'd like to me. If you would, please come to the podium. You're under no obligation to say anything. Could you raise your right hand? You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Okay? The first question I have, before you even say anything, is this has been sitting around since October?
It has, well, there's been no permittable, no electrical, mechanical, or plumbing work done since October, since Steve came to my house.
Right, but you've been living in a construction site since October?
Well, yes.
Okay.
I've been single until just recently.
Well, a woman will make you change your environment, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, so since, the only thing I've really done since the inspection is, some painting and some cleaning. I had, the picture you saw was a flooring contractor.
Okay,
Come in and put some flooring in the house. And so I've been doing things to like clean up the real construction activity, the painting walls, that sort of thing. But all the electrical work and plumbing and mechanical stuff that was not done at the time that Steve was there hasn't been completed.
okay.
So, because I've been really just kind of waiting to get the permits in place to continue that work is the reason why I held back. And I had plenty of other just kind of clean up work to do. And I'm a civil engineer, so I know that I need permits. I always plan to get permits because I was tinkering with it while living single and not in a hurry. And I didn't know exactly what all I was going to do before I was done. And I didn't really have a plan. I just kind of like did stuff kind of, in pieces. But I knew at one point in time I took pictures. I've had people, licensed contractors and other professionals who are qualified to look at the work, involved in the work I've been doing. And so I've got pictures and documentation and people that can sign permits, that sort of thing. For me, I thought I could do it as an owner builder based on what my understanding was, but I understand now differently.
Right, because you're an attached unit.
And so it just hasn't been a deadline for me to get done because it's livable.
Sure.
I have, got 3 bathrooms in the house, half bath and a master and another one. And one is operational, so I can get by. I've got a kitchen without a countertop, and I've got a sink that works. So that's kind of, so anyway, I've been making by. So I know I need to get done. I did go in and file. The door that got put in, I have since given documentation to the city on the door and the 2 doors. One was going to be my sliding glass door, which is not yet installed. Same reason why I haven't done it, because I thought I would need the permit to get that done. So as it turns out, the sliding glass door is still in back order, so it's not even ready to come in. So anyway, because of just kind of not doing the work, I thought I had time to get the permits in place.
Okay,
And so that's kind of my reason for it. I did go in and file them out, and I now picked up copies based on hearing from Steve's office about the need to get a contractor to sign for it. So I now have copies of what I turned in so I can get signatures. I plan to do so.
okay. The city has a list of contractors that regularly pull permits. We're not recommending anybody,
Right.
but it's a place to start.
Well, I have people.
Okay.
I can
I'm really concerned about the electrical box because you can have a hole in your drywall all day long and your neighbor's never going to know. But if that electrical box causes a problem, everybody in that housing complex will know.
Well, the electrical box is just open. There's no work going on. When Steve was there, the panel was off. Because I've been going in and turn off breakers and turn back on breakers at times. So it's been off. It was off when he was there. So there's been no electrical activity, since his inspection.
Okay.
And so the panel, was off, but there's nothing going on in it. It was just, I had it off for getting into it. So anyway, so that's kind of where I am. I'd like to have more than 3 months to finish because, I haven't really had a contractor. Work to be done still is some remodel work in a master bathroom, a shower enclosure that's not done, and a jacuzzi tub that needs to be plumbed, and then there's the half bath downstairs is not operational. It's kind of phasing it in because it's not needed.
But none of those things are on the agenda today.
Well, it's part of the time frame, though. The agenda, if it's 90 days.
Right, for the door, the drywall, and the electrical box. The bathtub and everything else are not on the...
Oh, well, the door, I gave documentation for the door.
Okay.
The electrical, I'm not sure what to do to schedule an inspection, but I can't do that until I get the permit, right?
Correct.
And so...
And the same is true for the door.
So
You
I only
gotta
knew
have
as
the
of
contractor.
2 weeks ago, I need to have a contractor sign it, since it's July 7th. And so, and then the drywall, would be the same thing, I guess we need to get someone to an inspection. So, application's in, so I just need to get someone to sign the pieces to schedule an inspection, it sounds like.
Well, no, the problem is you can't pull your own permits.
Well, that's what I mean, I now have copies of my applications to get them signed. So by contractor, so that I can get the permit.
Okay,
I understand that now.
great. All right, anything else?
No, I'm sure questions of me.
No, I want to make sure that you understand that the city wants you to address these 3 things in order to come into compliance. Everything else you've mentioned is not before us.
Okay.
And I wouldn't, and you should not do that without obtaining a permit.
The permit application I submitted covers those things.
Okay. Can you get the 3 items done within 90 days? Just those 3?
If I understand that right, it's the electrical inspection and drywall inspection?
May I make a suggestion here?
Sure.
Go ahead and, if you wanted to, go ahead and continue to permit all of those items, and then we could do partial finals for these items, that these pieces must be fully addressed, and that
Okay.
would allow you to, or your other option is to specifically permit these items that have been identified, and then do the other separately. But if you're trying to do it all, then you'd need to have partial finals for these
I
specific
think that's what
items.
I'd like to do, is go and leave I need to permit the whole thing so that I can move forward with that work. And if I do a partial to take care of that would be fine with me.
And with final inspections or partial final
Yeah.
inspections within 90 days, 90 days should be certainly
Yeah,
plenty to achieve that.
That's okay, yeah, that part's okay.
Okay, so
I'm
when you
okay.
hire people, you need to emphasize these 3. Because your bathtub, we haven't even begun to talk about that, but you're not on the hook for it.
Okay, right, okay.
And-
So that's why- But I made the application, that's why I thought I thought it was part and parcel.
Okay, so you're clear?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to find issue an order number 7. Order that you come into compliance within 90 days. I find that the $250 a day asked for, in light of the other hearings we've had today, is a little excessive. So I'm going to order $200 a day if you're not in compliance. Okay?
Okay.
Please come into compliance or the cost of your project goes through the moon.
Yeah, I hear that.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right. Going,
Would you just include the admin fee?
oh yes, I'm sorry. Thank you, Sherry. And Mr. Merkel, $149.09 in administrative costs. Can you pay that within 30 days?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Good. Can I do that by check at City Hall?
Second floor, City Hall.
Credit card?
Credit card also, there's a, two and a,
Is there a bill or somebody I see?
just come up to the second floor and tell them you have code enforcement admin, please.
Okay.
And they'll get you. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, going back to the first agenda item, City of Daytona Beach Shores versus, I believe it's B&Y Inc., CDEF 2019-74. And I see Mr. Morale is here. Hello, Mr. Morale, how are you doing? It sounds like you have a cold.
No.
No? Okay. All right. We are here for second compliance hearing? Yes. Second compliance hearing. Ms. Hursti, I know that you've been previously sworn.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll be with you in one moment.
No problem.
I would like to ask that each of the items presented in the special magistrate's notebook be introduced as evidence along with any and all slides that are about to be shown.
All right, Mr. Morale, do you have a legal objection?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you. They shall be received into evidence.
Thank you, Your Honor. So this is a second compliance hearing. Basically, a hearing to consider when compliance occurred and fine reduction and rescission requests. The total accrued was $14,100, which accrued over 94 days. Of the originally cited 12 violations and interior deficiencies preventing issuance of the certificate of compliance vacant property, only 3 were uncorrected by the initial hearing. So only 3 actually made it into the findings of fact, conclusions of law and order document. You can see that beginning on 4A16 if you needed to refer to it. And that was ordered at the January 20th, 2021 initial hearing. Okay, so the 3 violations that we're talking about that went on to that findings of fact document, there was a separate findings of fact, no fine standing order, but that's not at all, needing to be discussed today. The 3 violations on that notice of violation were violation E, stucco cracked in places at the column located at the northeast entrance at the northeast corner of the building. That is listed by our office as compliant as of June 25th with a past final inspection. Violation J is, you can see in the bottom picture, 2 column bases on either side of the east-facing entrance doors are non-functional elements which create a trip hazard. That one was actually rectified by the ordered compliance date, so did not incur any fines. And violation L, the building remaining vacant longer than 60 days without obtaining a certificate of compliance vacant property, that was rectified with the rectification of violation E. So it was waiting for basically everything else to be satisfied, which was, and so that was issued on June 25th, 2021 also. The ordered compliance date issued at that January hearing was March 22nd. Of those 3 violations, as I said, 1 had been corrected. That was violation J. And here's a picture of it having been corrected by the compliance date. Basically, he eliminated the trip hazard by affixing planters to the stubbed up, basically, columns. And so that was satisfactory.
So there was a metal plate that extended from the column,
No,
and
so
he
there
put a
was
planter on top of it?
2 different issues. There was a column, height to grade column that was basically structurally unsound. And then another issue was this violation J, which was, if you can see the top left picture, there were these two, they had been cut off columns sometime prior, and they were this far off the ground and created a trip hazard. So the way that he dealt with that particular violation was not the height to grade column, it was just those two old stubbed up, bottom spaces of columns, different columns. And so rather than removing them, he chose, and it was acceptable to the city to permanently affix those planters. Those are concrete planters. And it's fine, it's no longer a trip hazard, people can see it, and that was really our issue with it. And so he took care of that by the compliance date.
That took 90 days?
That didn't accrue fines at all.
Okay,
No,
all
that
right.
he did very rapidly after the hearing, and he got the
Okay.
plans in, and that was satisfactory. But that leaves us the other two. The one which was the structurally unsound column, and the certificate of compliance not being able to be issued because of that column. Okay, so the continued non-compliance of E and J, that was communicated on April 8th by email, and on April 12th by certified mail, basically letting Mr. Morelli know that it was not being deemed compliant by the city. And a first compliance hearing, because it took a few mailings, and Mr. Morelli was incapacitated after a knee surgery. The first compliance hearing, even though that didn't take place until June 16th last month, he was apprised that the city viewed him as non-compliant shortly after that compliance date. Based on that hearing, an order imposing fine and lien was generated and sent by first-class mail, as is statutorily acceptable. Final inspection was scheduled by the contractor for this ongoing work to replace the column and build out around it. Final inspection was scheduled on June 24th for June 25th, and that final inspection passed. So I'd like to show you just a couple of pictures. After telling you that an affidavit of compliance, you can see for the June 25th compliance date, you can see on page 4A27, and I'll show you a copy of the certificate. First, I would like to show you two slides that talk just about the violation E. In the top was, as it had been, October 29th, 2020, showing that the stucco was cracked in places, giving us concerns that there was additional stuff going on underneath, which turned out to be the case. So once they did an investigatory pulling off of some of the outer layers, they saw that the pole itself was structurally unsound. That was in that second picture, May 20th, was a view of what they were looking at then. June 8th is the first time that I have a picture of, and was shortly after the pole itself was replaced. They fabricated a new pole and put it in. Could not be deemed compliant yet. It could not be final inspected yet because it still had those pictures that you see overlapping on June 15th, still showing that the bolts coming up from the ground and the stucco at the top of the pole having not been finished. So that was finished 8 days later, and you can see I did snap a picture. It had not been final inspected yet. The contractor hadn't called for an inspection yet, but I do have a picture showing that the work had been done, or it appeared to be have been finished at that point, and that is June 23rd, 2 days before the final inspection. Mr. Morelli did cause the contractor to call in that final inspection, as I said, on June 25th, and that passed. Violation L was, again, the certificate of compliance vacant property, which could be issued, as you see that little green arrow pointing to the June 25th compliance date.
Okay.
This is a copy of the final inspection sheet, showing again that June 25th compliance date. And just a copy of the screenshot of the permitting activity, and that's showing that that was no other outstanding permits, that all the permits associated with this have been final approved, inspected and final approved. When the notice was sent for today's hearing by certified mail, it was also emailed to the property owner at his request because he was planning on leaving the country. He responded in thanks, which was great. I also got a call from an attorney who said he might be present, he might be representing Mr. Morale today, and so I sent an email containing all of the documents to him. We do not see him here today, but we're bringing the case before you to consider the 94 days of noncompliance, which had been set at $150 per day, for a total accrued of $14,100, plus additional administrative fees for today's hearing of $128.03, supported by an affidavit that you can see on 4A-37. We're suggesting an order number 12 or 13 at his honor's discretion. The property owner does have a number of things that I hope that he will share with you that he'd like you to consider regarding reasons for, that he's asking for either rescission or reduction.
Okay.
And even though, I mean, it's not my place really to go through each of those with you, they are in the record as I'm aware of them, and he may have other things that he wants to share with you as well. I would like to bring Steve up, if I may.
Yes, please.
And Steve, if you would again, your name, position, how long you've been with the city.
Steve Edmonds, City of Daytona Beach Shores, Building Inspector, Plans Examiner, been here 17 years.
Thank you, Steve. And can you basically, some of these documents and pictures were either taken by you or generated by you. Can you state that those were true and accurate to any that you created over the course of the case?
Yes, they are.
Okay, and do the events as they've been presented by the city so far represent a true and accurate account of the facts of the case, knowing that it is a brief, just a brief overview of the case?
Yes, they do.
Okay, what, if anything, would you like to add for the special magistrate to consider? Knowing the property is compliant, we've gotten what we've asked for and are satisfied at this time, and is there anything that you feel that you should add or correct to the record at this point, knowing that Mr. Morale now does have an opportunity to ask for his reduction or rescission?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Morale, do you have any questions of either of the two city officials?
Yeah.
You.
That's it, I just want to tell you what happened. but
No,
if you
sir.
Let me talk.
Hold on, sir.
I will, because
Any-
before you didn't let me.
You know what a
talk.
question is?
Huh?
A question. A sentence.
I don't have any question, I just want to
Okay.
explain what I want.
Hold on, okay? You've been here enough to know that I do not allow people to speak from the seats. You have to come up here because we're trying to make a recording.
Oh, sure.
So please come on up. All right. Please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I will.
And I just want to make sure that I have a clear record. You have no questions for either of the city officials, correct?
Yeah, no, I don't have any question.
Okay, please tell me whatever you'd like, and what I would like you to focus on is anything that you would like me to consider in mitigation to reduce the $14,100
Yes.
fine.
Yes.
All right, please proceed.
First of all, I will present this.
Okay, have you showed that to Ms. Herstein yet?
I emailed it to her, to,
Ms. Herstein, I have in front of me East Coast Ornamental Welding and a Wells Fargo check. Have you seen these?
Your Honor, I have, and I actually did include copies of these in his Honor's packet.
Okay, so there's no objection to me having a look at these.
Absolutely not.
All right, so what I have here is East Coast Ornamental Welding Incorporated. It is a bill for $909. It says fabricate and install one aluminum column, including remove existing steel column, replace with new aluminum column, and I note that it was paid with check number 330. And it looks like March something.
March 22nd, I sent it, and March 29 was cashed.
Okay.
You asked me to represent last time in a hearing. You told me when I come today to represent what I have.
Yes, and I see that. It was cashed or posted March 29th.
Yeah.
Okay,
What I want to say, after I was here in a hearing, that was February or January, the hearing before,
January, sorry.
when you give me time to fix everything.
right?
Okay, as far as my side, I did everything with my contractor. Then when I had to open the column, I did not know what's behind the column, as Steve mentioned. So when we opened the column, the top was okay, the bottom was loose, completely. The bottom of the column was loose from the ground. The top was holding, the bottom was loose, so that column was no good. So I went to my engineer and I told him what the situation. The engineer, it took him 2 weeks to go and look at it. That's behind my control. He has his own schedule. I called him numerous times, and he said he's going to go, but he had job, he was out of town, I don't know. And then he was in contact with Steve. And then they draw what we need to do. And he referred me to this company. I went to 2 others, but he referred me to this company.
Okay.
I had to do knee surgery in March 11. First I had to do it in February 25th. I postponed it to March 11 because of a Jewish holiday called Purim. I couldn't go. It was the same day. So I met in March 8th, I met the owner of the company, and I told him, listen, it has to be within no more than 2 weeks. Can you do that? He says, yes. He says, I'm going to send you an estimate. And if you agree, then we will do it. I said, no problem. That was, I met him in March 8th. And then I went to the surgery. I haven't heard from them. So when I came back from the surgery, that was Friday. That
Friday,
was
what
March
day?
12th at home. And after the weekend, I called him. And he said he's going to send me the estimate. I received it. I think they mailed it on March 19. I received it. I called them. I said, I'm going to pay you the whole money. I'm not going to pay you the 30%, everything. Just finish it. And then we talked, it will be including permit, everything. And I had no issue to pay him for the permit because Steve mentioned that he need to be a separate permit for that. So I just said, I'm going to pay company, they will do the whole thing. Then I thought they finished it. And I couldn't walk. I was a month and a half at the house, and I didn't look at it. But I did contact Glenn a few times after. She said he wasn't done. Then I called the company. They said, we're going to call you later. We're going to call you. They stretch me. Every day I called them maybe 20, 30 times. You can ask Glenn. I called her and I said, I called the company. And then they told me that the issue was they need to pull a permit and their contractor did not do it. Then I keep asking them, did you do? I even talked to Steve a few times, asked him, did they come? Did they pull up a permit? You can ask them. And many times I did. The only thing I'm telling you that if it was me and I can do it, I wouldn't finish it. The minute when I was here last time, I showed you a picture that it was done, that I saw it, and I take care of it. And I did take care of it right away. Whatever we had to do, I did as fast as I could. That's all I have to say.
Okay. So your surgery was 30 days of being laid up?
Well, my surgery, it was in March 11. And then I was in physical therapy. They came at home. And after that, I had to go to the hospital. I couldn't drive for a month and a half.
Okay.
I was not allowed. I have metal on my knee, sir. I couldn't walk. Now I'm better. I have days it hurts, days it doesn't hurt. But it is what it is. You know, it takes about a year for my swelling to go down. But now I'm better than what I was before. But I was not allowed to walk or do anything for a month and a half, 2 months, something like that.
Okay. All right. Give me 1 second.
Sure. I just wanted to tell you that I try to make it as fast as I can, but everything behind my control is the engineer and the company.
All right, Mr. Morelli, before I give you my decision, I need to tell you that you have 30 days in which to appeal this decision before the circuit court. That is not done in this city. It is done at City Island. Okay, do you know where the courthouse is, sir?
Yes.
All right. Having listened to what you had to say and being sympathetic to the fact that you had knee surgery and you were not able to physically engage these contractors, however, also that I did give you 90 days to come into compliance, I'm going to subtract 1 day for the Jewish holiday that I understand you cannot transact business out of respect for your religion, and 40 days for your knee surgery. So I'm going to find that you are not in compliance at your fault for 53 days, which comes out to a fine of $7,950. Also that you are required to pay $128.03 administrative fees within 60 days. The entire fine must be paid within 90 days. Do you understand my decision, sir?
Yeah, I understand.
All right, I don't ask that you...
I'm just telling you.
You're not going to hurt my feelings.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Because I think your decision, it's wrong.
Okay.
Because I did, in the time that you gave me, I did everything. If the company did not do it and they have the schedule, it's behind my control. I don't think you consider that. And also, the engineer, whoever, if this is contractor that I hired, and you take me responsibility, but this is something that I have to wait. I'm at the mercy of the other people. It's not.
Sure, I understand that.
Consider it.
But I gave you 90 days before fines
I
began.
went to them with the 90 days. We found out about the column, the problem in the column. We found out only after Steve mentioned here in a hearing that he insists for the column to be open.
Would you like these back? But the check was after the date of compliance, so.
Because Steve mentioned that he needs the column to be open. That was when we were here. That's what I went to.
Mr. Morelli, that's my decision. I'm not going to change it.
No,
You're more than welcome to appeal, sir.
I will appeal it, that's for sure.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Any other business to come before the special magistrate? I note that the next hearing is scheduled for August 18th, 2021 at 9 a.m. Okay, this is closed.
Thank you, Ellen.
I once said to my wife when I was on the bench, 15,000 cases a year for 8 years, been appealed numerous times, never once been overturned. How is it as soon as I walk in this door, I'm wrong?
And how does that work with her? Does she immediately change her
That
decision?
resulted in a couple of nights on the couch. But
I would say as it should be, but I wouldn't put that on the record.
I can't learn and you can't make me.
Is a phrase that I've heard
Right.
under my husband's breath many, many times.
Mhm. All right.
I don't.
Him
Not
to
to
sign
send,
it?
no.
What time is it? Oh.
10:17.
Longer than we usually do. Right.